Welcome to this special episode featuring Manchester United legend Paul Parker, recorded live at our recent event. Ladies and gents, welcome to the Cult of Cantona.
How we all doing? So I like to hear. Lads, can I, all the cheap seats at the back if you want to come in there, and preferably don't steal my laptop. You're all very welcome along. And I get a massive round of applause for Mr. Paul Parker for coming all the way over. As you know, we're trying to do a bit of good work here tonight as well. This is the first one of these events, and we're supporting Failacon.ie. If you know what Failacon is, it's a charity supporting families who lose young children, so families bereaving. So we really appreciate any support. At the end of the night, we're going to have hopefully that jersey will be worth more than it is right now if we win the Europa League. So, I'm telling you, come up to me, we're taking bids then, we might do a last man standing, well everyone will be standing anyway. There's already bids online for that for €650. It's signed by Garnacho, Casemiro, the whole squad, even Anthony, but you can scrub that out with a toothbrush.
It makes it divided.
I'd like to introduce Jack Poyntz from the United Community Channel. I'm Paul Butler, Lennox, and I run the Cult of Cantona. We also have a podcast on the channel as well. Is Brian Casey here yet? He'll be in later, I'm sure. And we're going to have a little bit of a chat, and we might take a couple of quick questions before we get Mr. Al Foran. Where is he? He's here somewhere. And Mr. Gary Cook. He's going to do a great impression later on, and we'll do our best to provide a great night's of entertainment all the way through the night. And there's some giveaways at half time, so don't go missing. We're giving away a signed Lee Sharp shirt, these Manchester United Cantona t-shirts, and we'll be picking names at random. We have a wheel thing, we put all the email addresses in, and whoever we'll be calling out the winners as it goes. We're also giving away 2 tickets to Old Trafford for the opening game of the season next season, or if you can't make it, we'll try and get other tickets for you. Can I get a woo for that? Thanks very much. And we're also giving away cases of Rascals craft beer. You won't be drinking it here, you'll get it at the end of the night. So whatever I need for you gotta go home. Is that Liverpool fan somewhere? Also, can I get massive congratulations to Liverpool for winning the league this year? Fuck off. Okay, whatever I need nervous. Like everybody else. Paul, thanks so much for coming along. I'll MC, and Jack has some questions prepared for you as well. First of all, how do you feel about Dublin?
Well, the biggest surprise is actually warmer than Essex. That's the biggest. 20 degrees here. I left. The maximum in Essex today is 18. When I left, it was. I had like a sweat top on, and had a t-shirt, and I had a jacket over the top when I left. When I arrived in Dublin, I had to get the jacket off. And to be honest, lucky enough, I done sunbathe normally anyway, for obvious reasons. So. But it was close to it being here, by the way. And I've never had that when I've come to Ireland, so that was a rarity.
Yeah. And you've been over a number of times over the years, various friendlies. You were here, Legends 11. Legends XI, if you're watching tonight online, lads, thanks so much for helping out. They've done great work helping us with the Cult of Cantona over the last couple of years. And you've played over here, obviously friendlies. I think you in the early 90s and stuff. But the Irish fans, do you think there's any differentials between Irish fan-going community and all over the world, not just the British or the English fans?
I think when you look at it, generally I've been to Asia, I lived in Asia as well, but when I went there with United to Asia, Manchester United is massive, and it is really incredible support, but when you come to Ireland, you have to say, and my first time coming to Ireland with Manchester, I come here with Fulham when I was young, about 17, 18, and we just, and it made it English players coming across, but to come here as a Manchester United player, and then I was so naive, I never understood it, and it was scary. It was absolutely scary. And even when I've come back to Ireland as an ex-Manchester United player, it hasn't changed. You just get invited to do this and do this. Whatever's written on the bit of paper they give you, they say we want you to do a signing here, come and do a meet and greet, play the game, and then the night is your own. The night's never been your own.
No, not with Irish fans.
No. And to be honest, you come and you sign autographs, you have pictures, but the one thing you can guarantee is just people who adore you, love you, and they respect you, and you can't fault it. There's no rudeness or anything. It's please and thank you, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's fair to say that Irish football fans are the best football fans in the world, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Jack?
Well, Paul, you mentioned there, say, the difference between, obviously, what you mentioned there, as a player going from, the likes of Fulham, QPR, and then stepping up to Manchester United in such a big, I suppose, transitional period. What was that pressure like as a player coming into a dressing room like that?
Well, I went Fulham to QPR, and that was quite a big thing. So I went from the old third division to the first division. That was a change. Playing on a plastic pitch for one season was a change, because the only person who could have been burnt more than me then was Freddie Krueger. To be perfectly honest. That was tough. Elbows, knees, and arms. It was tough. So if anybody was to see me in the underpants, you'll notice I have darker bits all over on my elbows and that from the amount of burns I had. But then the jump from Queen's Park Rangers to Manchester United was the biggest, was a massive one. It needed something maybe, if you choose it, in between to kind of acclimatise, because you jump from a side that is happy to finish somewhere mid-table and above to a club, when you come to it, where expectations are high and the fact of there's more demands. And as you get there, you suddenly realise the demands, and it's not so much from the fans. It's not even maybe the manager. I found it more from the players.
Really?
The players kind of, it was inbuilt in them, because they wanted to really, in theory, as we all do as footballers, you want to be immortal. You want adulation all the time. You want to achieve, and that's what the club wanted from every individual. So the moment I turned up, I was kind of there, and all of a sudden I felt everyone looking at me. Who is this fella who's played against us God knows how many times in 4 seasons at QPR? He has stayed closer to Mark Hughes than what his missus did. In a football context, of course. Oh, trust me on that one.
Oh, he was against his missus.
No comment.
So I remember one time we played a game against, it was an FA Cup game we played against United. I think we drew, I think it was drawn 3-3 or something, it was at Loftus Road. But prior to that, we stayed overnight in a hotel, the Royal Lancaster, and United were in that same hotel. And I remember we was in there the afternoon, and when we played midweek games at QPR, we stayed in this hotel. So all of a sudden I jumped in this lift, and Sparky's in there with his man marker, Clayton Blackmore. And all of a sudden Sparky's to see me, and he just looked at me and goes, "What, you fucking marking me now as well?" And that was just Sparky, one of his one-liners, and I didn't know whether to laugh or be scared of him. But it was a massive transition, and even it caused a little bit of a shock in the way that a Londoner was willing to go 220 miles north to go and play. Even for Manchester United, people didn't understand why I did it when I turned down Arsenal and I turned down Tottenham. Everton wanted to talk to me.
Did you turn it down because Man United is the biggest club?
I did it because it was not because of what you just said there. It was because it was Manchester United. I'd grown up watching them in FA Cup finals. My dad had come across, when my dad came from Jamaica, it was West Indian cricket and Mocan Tenants, and it was George Best, Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law. And I went there. Did I go there to win leagues? But I can't even say I did it. I went there because of what they were, and I understood then really what winning a league was all about. Where before, the thing for me was, playing an FA Cup final, that was the glamour, that was everything. Last game of the season, and that was the big one, the one that people remembered.
When the cup was the big.
When the
big
FA
draw.
Cup was, yeah. But as we see, I mean, like, all of a sudden you grow into it, you mature maybe, but you suddenly find out the league makes a massive difference. It doesn't matter how many points you finish on. When you finish above the rest of them and the teams in that league, you are the best for that season of 9.5 months. So there's no kind of what's going on with Arteta talking about how many points they got last season and before, about that makes them better than Liverpool on it. And dare I say it, but it's the truth. The best team this season were Liverpool.
Amen.
But still, I see in quite a poor league this year.
And did you realise at the time, obviously you talked about the transitional period for yourself personally, but the explosion of the Premier League at the time, and salaries started to go up and maybe a lot more eyes were on it. Was that something that you noticed at the time, or is it maybe looking back now that it's easier to recognise?
But I didn't really notice it because the salaries never went up until about 96, 97. That's when it changed, when the actual ruling, the freedom of contract opened up, and that's the one that really changed it. So in theory, the average player could suddenly get money like a top player because clubs felt obliged then. But so in answer to that question, I didn't really get that. At the end of the day, if I'd have stayed in London and if I'd have signed for Spurs, I would have earned more money than what I did playing for Manchester United. But I look at it now, and yes, I could have earned more money with Spurs, but I wouldn't be in a room like this. I wouldn't have maybe got the opportunity to live where I'd lived in Singapore for 8 years and all the things I've done if I'd have been a Spurs player.
It's very Spursy being a Spurs player. Isn't it?
I've heard that rumour. I think there's tablets for it now.
and I have to say as well, and I didn't mention this at the start, I think it's important to say, we're talking to a double winner here. A double league winner. And a league and FA Cup winner. Which you don't see every day of the week.
Well deserved.
I want to ask you about the full-back role, because obviously it's a very topical issue at the moment, with and especially with Ruben Amorim, with his new system coming in and wing-backs. And how do you find, or how do you look at the difference between, say, the role that you played in maybe as a traditional full-back to maybe how the game is I won't say evolved, because not everybody agrees with it, but how it's gone now with wing-backs and the attacking aspect of the game?
Well, it hasn't really, it's gone. We're talking about it because it's Manchester United doing it, and United have always had a way of playing attacking wide players, a robust centre forward, and I'm talking my ear when I use the word robust. I'm thinking Sparky. You're thinking about cavalier midfield players, Poyntz, Roy Keane, Brian Robson, and it's a change. But there's only been one team that's won the Premier League with 3 at the back, which is Chelsea. And you look at their wing backs, and they weren't the best. They weren't. You look at them, you think, no, that ain't right. But it's about finding the balance, and you don't need a superstar. You need someone who knows the job, and that's what it's about. And that's why. And to be honest, would I have been a Manchester United player if I hadn't been playing as one of the 3 for Queen's Park Rangers? Because I never played fullback for Queen's Park Rangers. When I was at Fulham, my last 3 seasons, I played as a centre half. With the one that you remember I played with was Tony Gale, who went to West Ham. So when I joined Manchester United, I hadn't played fullback for a club for about 7 years. I played wing back for England in 1990. That was my first ever time. So I was learning as I went. Sounds mad, but played 6 out of 7 games. So I look at what a manager wants to do, and I would say he's got to be given the tools. It's like a plumber going to work and he's been given the wrong bag, and he gets there and he's trying to think, I need a screwdriver, but they give me a spanner. That's what's happened. That's the
a few spanners, Paul. A few spanners.
Yeah, you're right. But I just think myself, he's owed something by the people in charge to go and get what he wants and what he can believe in. If he can't turn it around, then you can talk about it. But he's come in, and I like him. I like his honesty. Sometimes he could say too much, but if he didn't say enough and he tried to hide behind it, I think the majority in here would call him out, because I think you would say, well, no, you're making up, you're wearing rose-tinted glasses. And I just think he's got something about him. His first season at Sporting Lisbon, wasn't great. Similar scenario. His second season was better. And that's what you can hold on to. Manchester United's second season isn't going to be about winning something. It's going to be about having a better finish, a better league position than what they got this season, with more positives. Everyone's talking about signing the lad from Sporting Lisbon and saying we want him. But I look at it, and I'm sure a lot would disagree. I've seen it already. But I think myself, United need to build, and I look at Liam Delap, an energetic centre forward, honest, chases everything down, and he reminds me of the way he plays. He plays like Sparky.
How do you feel about Liam Delap? Give us a shout, yes or no? Yeah? Thumbs up, okay.
Well, it's just more financially as well. We have to look that way about financially. Great, you can talk about. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name until he comes. If he does come to United.
Jokeres.
Well, there you are. Does that come in this?
I fucking said his name enough on YouTube in the last few weeks.
So, I mean, if they were to get him, you think, okay, but then you've got to think, does that jeopardise the fact of midfield players? Because midfield players, for me, are very, very important. Midfield players who can actually run, energetic, athletic, and more than anything, show more passion to kick the ball. Because when you look at all the teams that United have played in the Premier League, if they can run, United ain't going to beat them. It's as simple as when they played West Ham at Old Trafford the other day, it was a battle of the two slowest teams in the league. It was as simple as that. Sometimes I say what I feel. Am I doing that, by the way?
Yeah, that's absolutely. It's not what we want. We don't say enough of that, Paul, to be honest with you. We're just we have to be very mindful of time as well, because I don't want this to run into the kick-off of the match. Paul, how do you think it's going to go tonight? Who's your money on? Try and be positive, or we're all going to hang ourselves out in that period. Who do you fancy tonight? Who do you think?
Well, my heart's always going to say United. When it comes to common sense, I think I have to go with United on their form in this competition. But the problem is they're playing a Premier League side where they haven't been good enough against the Premier League sides this season. They're playing Tottenham, beaten them 3 times already. I think myself, you can't beat Manchester United 4 times in one season. But then United have had the double done over them 7 times this season by a lot of teams, and that's never happened before.
Is it down simply to mentality? You know, we talk about legs and how better United have been in Europe because maybe of a lack of intensity against European teams. Is it down to specifically that, do you think, or is it a mindset within these players?
No, it's down to that fact, the way that European sides play gives United a chance. High intensity, even like in Ipswich, the Southampton game at home. You know, it was I was watching Euro and Christ Almighty, he was chasing chickens. You know, and everyone.
Winger hasn't played since.
I know.
He hasn't played since.
He hasn't. I mean, I thought myself, this lad was good, but no one's heard of him
One
since.
game and just.
But and you look at that, and I saw a stat about Euro, and he was up there with like Van Dijk and somebody. Miles Skelly saying that he's up there with those 2 as the top 3 who haven't been beaten this season. Only been beaten, outrun, passed by 7-8 times. I'm going. That lad ran past him 5 times. So these stats do my shedding anyway. So that makes sense. It's not about stats football. It's too subjective.
Now, the winger doesn't even play anymore.
No.
For Southampton.
Not
even getting a game.
I just want to get in fairness, we're going to bring the lads up to do a very special après-match-esque pre-match chat with the 2 lads. But we're going to take, I think, a couple of questions from the floor. Does anyone want to ask a question?
Hands up.
Hands up, or if you want to walk up. Anyone for a chat there? I've plenty more questions anyway. Yeah, show your audience. Your right prediction. Yeah, what score do you reckon? If you're wrong, you have to buy everyone else a point.
Can I take the 5th then? I've got to go. I have to go. If United score the first goal, which I believe they will, I'm going to go United to win this game. I'm going to do something ridiculous here. I'm going to say 2-0.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you reckon, that's still
Yes.
I do worry about the defence, to be perfectly honest, but when they're in this competition, for some reason, they have managed to keep a few clean sheets. So there's always a worry though when it gets close to the goalkeeper, but still.
Highland, is that a tough time?
Highland's had an absolute terrible time, and sometimes I think it's cruelty for him to be playing game in, game out. But I'd like to say there's a method in the madness the manager playing him, but I think sometimes I look at him, and if it was your own child, you'd want him taken out. Because on the mental side of it, to get him out. I mean, you can't say that.
Of the team.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. I needed that backup.
No, I think everybody feels the same about Highland. He's like everyone's nephew. Everyone loves him to bits.
The one you forget.
Yeah, the one whose birthday you forget. But you know, he's not doing the job, is he? For whatever reason.
They are missing a player on the pitch every time they play. They've got no one to play through. I wouldn't mind too much. It's not about him. It's not so much about him missing chances, because he's not actually doing that, because he's not getting anywhere near anything. But I just think sometimes if you want to try and catch a fish, you might have to throw a few maggots close around where the hook is. But then I look at it and I think to myself, no one puts a cross in early. Everybody wants to play this deliberate, slow around the box, and United, creativity-wise, are about as good as a child in the kindergarten. They just can't, they've got nothing about them. So just, Legaue is the only one who puts an early ball in. So they need to put the ball, so say to him, get on the end of it. Sparky would do it. If you didn't knock a ball into Sparky, he would look at you. And then if you did it again, he would actually go across you and say something. And then he would virtually threaten. He'd done it so many times to Andre. Told him, cross it early. If I'm not there, call me out.
Just want to talk, and I can't let you leave without talking about Alex Ferguson. You know, not necessarily about your own personal relationship with him, but what was it like working for somebody like that, who was ostensibly kind of universally acknowledged as genius now in what he does, or what he did? What was it like working for him? What was it like winning the Premier League, not just once, but twice, and an FA Cup, and stuff at Chelsea as well in the final in 1994?
Well, with the boss, it was just simple as that. You knew exactly what you had to do. There wasn't a rule book. There was a belief that you knew what you was doing because he signed you. You had to think for yourself. Yes, there was a way of playing, but if that way wasn't right, you had to show a little bit of initiative. If you couldn't show initiative, you was no good to him. Unlike what football is today. Football today, do what you're told, and if you keep doing it, even though it's not working, keep doing it. If you weren't doing it, he would tell you. If you decided that you thought you was clever and you could answer him back, then he would tell you, and then you would come off, or you was left out the next game and you wouldn't be seen. And he was, he is the greatest manager I've ever played for.
I'll get you now. I just want to ask, we interviewed Sharpie on the channel a while ago, and he, his relationship obviously is not the best with Ferguson, and he said, and went on camera, on record of saying that, he felt as if he was a bit picked on, that he was doing it, he was actually playing very well and being made an example of at times, and there was a lot of psychological games, and he felt as if it was a bit over the top sometimes. Is that why? However you feel about whether that's good or not, or whether that happened to you, or you felt bullied or whatever, that's not what I'm saying. Is that missing from the modern game, and is that where there's no bite in the game now? And are players too flaky or too sensitive?
Yes, they are. Definitely, those last two bits you said, they are. Me growing up was quite tough. My mum decided, I was born in the East End, my mum decided to move us out because she didn't want me or me two brothers or my sister getting involved with what was around us, which was a black community. She didn't want us, so my mum decided to move us to a place called Raynham, which was right next to Dagenham. Dagenham had the biggest national front following in the GLC. Clever mum. But when I went to school, I was the only black kid in school for 3 years. It was tough. I could have sulked. I could have, having to almost sprint home every day over 3 miles was tough. People threatening to shove my head down the toilet was tough. But I had to, especially when someone had been in there first was murder as well. That bit's seen that. But I had to get through it, grit my teeth and prove a point. Being a footballer, I had to prove a point because of the fact of my size, my stature then. I had to go out and get my bones measured to see if I was going to be big enough to play football. That's what Fulham done. So I had to go against the grain. So if I accepted it, I wouldn't be sitting in front of you gentlemen, if there's any ladies in here, ladies as well. So it's about being strong and going against it. And the thing about it, if someone's having a go, my idea about it is to go and prove them wrong. And if the boss had a thing with Sharpie, and he's talked about it, he's felt it, and I always look at it and I think to myself, there's only so long you can bear grudges before. And one of the things that the boss has always said is, there's no point in bearing grudges. You might as well just get through it. You get used to it, and if you've got a grudge with someone, don't get rid until such time you believe you can replace them.
Tell that to Roy Keane, what?
Was there anybody that kind of stood out to you that you were like, I want to play with that player because I know they'll give it their all, and I'll give it their all for me?
No, I didn't think that way. I mean, I was fortunate enough that I was in the England squad with Robbo for quite a few years before I went there, so I knew Robbo well enough, and Robbo had actually mentioned it to me a few times, but I never took him serious. I thought he was taking the pee out of me, because that's what Robbo can be like sometimes. That's what makes him such a good card player. But I went to United because I'm one of those people who believe that about anything is that if you're given the opportunity to go to anything which is better than where you are, you've got to go, because if you don't take the opportunity and just be content where you are and take the easy way, then you're never really going to find out how good you can be. But the thing about it, if you go up there and you try it, you can always come back, and I think your people will respect you because the fact of you've gone, you've realised it hasn't worked out, you've come back, and they'll look at you differently in that sense because you've tried to be the better man to improve yourself. And that's why, as great as everyone talks about certain players who are one club and they talk about the clubs that they turn down, I still think those people, they might be honest now, they might not, but I think to myself, they missed a trick, because the opportunity to play for a Manchester United, a side that is bigger than where they are, is something that you can never ever turn down.
I mean, you look at the likes of Gaza and, Shearer. But Gaza in particular, because he was, England's greatest player, arguably, at that time.
Yeah, without a doubt. But Gaza says no, he made the right decision. He won't own up to it, but everyone knows how great Gaza was, and I can only wonder, I can't say it would happen, but I wonder how his career would have shaped if he'd have come and played for the boss. Because I look at someone in theory who come to Manchester United, he was virtually told by his own nation that his own home nation that he was broken, and he's become one of United's greatest players in Eric. And that's the difference. And that's not the boss bringing someone like Eric in and whipping him to death. He's virtually allowed Eric to virtually be himself, but respect what's around him, and respect the surroundings, the people he's playing, the players, the fans. Eric done that, and Eric proved. But did Eric still be was he still the way he was? Yes, he was, because he was doing poems about seagulls.
Guys, we could pick his brain all day and all night, but we're here to take home the Europa League at 8 o'clock. Can I get... also just very quickly want to thank Paul from Football Kit Box, if you're not aware of them. All these lovely jerseys here, and the ones that are for sale on the rails. What a wonderful night. Came all the way up to take part in this wonderful night from Galway, so a round of applause for him. Obviously, Jack, we're going to bring the lads up now very quickly. Can I get be upstanding, please, ladies and gentlemen?
Thanks very
And
much.
get a round of applause for Mr. Paul Parker. Paul's going to hang around as well to watch the match for a bit, so thank you so much.